We continue on down the Oregon recruiting trail, now looking into the future, but certainly the not too distant future. A lot of Duck fans have had this Saturday circled on their calendar for a long time. They have been looking forward to August 2nd as the potential explosive finale of the Summer of Dan, hoping, maybe looking forward to, some commitment fireworks this weekend. It is the commitment date of four-star defensive back Davon Benjamin and four-star defensive lineman Duce Geralds. These are two big-time targets for the Ducks that they've had very high on their defensive board for a long time. These are two guys, according to various industry experts, where predictions are logged in favor of Oregon. So can the Ducks seal the deal? Let's dive right into it. And let's start with Davon Benjamin. In the inaugural Rivals 300 rankings that came out about a month ago, Davon Benjamin rose up big time, the number 22 overall player, and they had him as the number one corner in that class, but he can also play the safety position. He is a very versatile player coming out of Oaks Christian High School there in Southern California. Oregon's only West Coast competition within the final five schools for Davon Benjamin is Washington. So I think they feel like they're in a really good spot, especially with competing against schools out on the West Coast with no USC involved. Who are they going up against? They're going up against Michigan, the aforementioned Washington Huskies, the North Carolina Tar Heels, and the Texas Longhorns. We know the Horns have been throwing around some cash. Oregon, like I said to open this thing up when I talked about both of these guys, they have been the prediction for a while. And for a while really means a lot for a guy like Benjamin. Since the spring, that's when some of these predictions were logged. So this staff, I think, has put a lot of resources into this recruitment. I think they've certainly valued this recruitment. And kind of the more I watch from Davon Benjamin, the more I can get excited. And I think he can just play any position in the future in the secondary. I think he can play star, he can play corner, he can play safety, and he can play them all at a high level. As of late, Michigan has been making a pretty decent push. But in my personal opinion, what I've kind of read and kind of what I heard regarding this situation, I don't know if it's as serious of enough push to maybe put the Wolverines over the edge, considering how long Oregon has been in the pole position for a guy like Benjamin. All right, let's get to my prediction. You can probably see the writing on the wall with where I'm going with this one. I believe Davon Benjamin is going to commit to Oregon on Saturday, and I'm going to tell you why. Oregon, over the last 2 years, has been a little bit of a Death Star when it comes to defensive back recruiting, haven't they? Right? You're getting, four top 75 guys in the 25 class, and then in this class, getting someone like Jet Washington in there already. Devin Jackson certainly is really good in the top 150 as well. I think that this is the guy that they've wanted paired with Jet Washington for a long time as far as those really high caliber players. Now, I know that this 26 defensive back recruiting class might not be as good as the 25 group, but you put Jet Washington and Davon Benjamin certainly at the top of that thing. That would still be a pretty damn good secondary class, and Chris Hampton just keeps on doing it, and they keep doing what they're doing. I feel like Oregon's getting to a spot in the secondary where if they have a kid that they have their eye on and they really want what they've been able to prove with their vision in some of these recruiting pitches and kind of the results on the trail, they've been able to go seal the deal. So this is all about finishing strong for the Oregon Ducks to close this one out. What a big victory this would be for the Ducks if they can indeed come out on top on Saturday. Now, let's talk about the defensive line. Let's go more towards the line of scrimmage, and let's chat about Duce Geralds, the four-star defensive lineman coming out of Sewanee, Georgia, down there in the southeast. Oregon is up against Michigan, LSU, Ole Miss, and Ohio State. Now, about a month or so ago, around just after the 4th of July, I believe it was, Duce Geralds set his commitment date. At that time, there was a good amount of smoke that a possible commitment could be coming. And I thought, when he announced his commitment date for August 2nd, I kind of thought to myself, well, he's creaking the door open. That kind of 4-week span seemed like last call for some big-time bag drops. Because at that time around when he set his commitment date, maybe it was a little bit afterwards, you started to see some of these predictions in favor of Oregon really start to go in. LSU has made a pretty significant push as of late. I think the Tigers are probably in fact, not probably, they are the biggest challenger right now to Oregon getting this commitment. I talked about how Michigan made the push for Davon Benjamin and be like, yeah, I don't think it's as significant to get over the top. I think LSU is really doing a lot, coming on strong to see if they can kind of flip this thing back in their direction. I mean, you kind of look at some of these connections, like he's an Ole Miss legacy, and there is an LSU family connection. His dad, Duce Geralds' dad, played at Ole Miss from 2006 to 2010, and he's got family from Louisiana. So you got to think that the Tigers are really doing everything they can to kind of keep Deuce with the family down there in the Southeast. Prediction time for Duce Geralds. Not one quack, but I think there are going to be 2 quacks on Saturday. Here comes Ted, the ultimate optimist, coming in from the top rope, right? Here's what I want to say with this. I think it's more of like Oregon feels like, dude, we need guys on the defensive line, okay? Like they lost Ami Malawa on the inside. They lost Tamahini Tupoi on the inside. And I know, like, if you kind of watch Duce Geralds, I mean, he's sitting there like 268, 270 pounds. So he's not maybe like that defensive tackle or nose tackle. He can play those positions, certainly. But he can kind of also play on the edge. He might project a little bit more as kind of a bigger edge guy, like a Jordan Berger or Mateo Uiagalelei, something like that as well. But I think that this is one, considering the way that the defensive line has gone this cycle for the Ducks, that they need to close on. And I think, like, kind of based on what the tea leaves I'm kind of reading over the last 4 to 6 weeks, it seems like Oregon is going to be able to finish the job, and that this is a priority, big time priority recruitment, certainly financially for them in this as well. So I feel pretty confident that the Ducks will seal the deal, although I think it's going to be a little bit closer down the stretch for somebody like Duce Geralds. Oregon right now, as we speak, is sitting at 15 commitments. If you get these 2, it would get them up to 17. Remember last year, the Ducks signed 18 guys. So if they can get to that 17 mark and then they go into flip mode, that's exactly where they want to be. And I think they're sitting in a really good spot. It's been beat home to death. But this is an Oregon class that has the top average player rating in the entire country. Getting Benjamin, getting Duce Geralds would certainly add to that.